Welcome to the Land, your bet sports betting show. Well, 2-3 on Saturday. We finally lose a unit after 5 straight days of making more than 13, 14 units in that time frame. We're going to get it back here. As always, want you to jump into the comments of the video. Let me know who you're betting on. That will make you eligible to win $50 if we sweep. So I go 4-0. I'm going to choose a random commenter with their best bet of the day in there to win that $50, as we did just about a week ago now. Also want you to make sure you jump into the description of the video. I've got links in there for the Discord. Make sure you're not missing any of these picks early and at the exact same numbers that I'm playing. Also got some good promos in there for props.cash, for outlier.bet, free trial, a little discount as well off the first month. So make sure you check all those links out. Let's get into the record here and right into these plays for Monday. As mentioned, 2-3 on Saturday, lost a unit there. Not too worried about it with the big come up that we've had in the WNBA the last couple weeks. But a couple quick breakdowns. Dejanay Carrington, still like that number at 3.5 boards if we continue to get it. I'll continue to play that over. A couple lucky bounces in that Liberty game. Not too worried about it. Sabrina was a big lesson. Loved under on the assists. Didn't like the odds, so I went with the points. The lesson here, play the number. If you like the number under 5.5 assists, don't worry about the odds and adding things to it that lessen the likelihood of it happening. My pick was based on loving under the assists, and I got cute with it unnecessarily. With Caitlin Clark, going to continue to play her under 9 or 9.5 assists if she's playing against good teams on good defenses like the Storm in this last game or the Lynx, or teams that limit assists to guards, such as those teams. Like the unders on her dimes because they're a little bit bloated in terms of the props that we're getting for her. And then Aaliyah Boston, that was one that you had to be in the Discord to make sure you got the bet, only had a lean in the video. So that's another reason why it's really important to make sure you're in that Discord. But that does bring us to a pretty good record on the season here. Still up 18.77 units, looking to climb over 20 today. So let's go ahead and get into it. First matchup, got the Mystics in Seattle, and I've been waiting for Washington to sort of take off a little bit since they got Shakira Austin. Brittany Sykes is back. They're pretty much fully healthy now moving forward, so I've been waiting for them to take off. Still only one win now in their last 3 or 4 games since the break and coming back from the Olympics. All this stuff here is still pretty consistent for them. Offensive rating, defensive rating, rebounding. Nothing has had a chance to really improve with their players back because we haven't had enough games yet. For Seattle, they started to dwindle a bit, had a nice win in this last game against the Fever that was crucial for them, but everything for them is still kind of based on defense, helter-skelter ball, getting out into transition, getting points off of turnovers, some second chance stuff as well. So that's going to be crucial for them in this game, and they might have some advantages in this matchup. On offense for the Mystics, the things they like to do, hit threes, get out into transition off of turnovers, those are the things that Seattle limits really, really well on the other side of the ball themselves. They don't turn the ball over too much, right in the middle of the pack, but in terms of giving up threes, they are a very, very good perimeter defense. Look to continue to sort of fade some players that require a lot of shots from outside for the Mystics. Other side of the floor, pretty good matchup for the Mystics, except for those points off of turnovers. If they turn the ball over, which they do very consistently, Seattle will turn that into points, as you can see. Also need to make sure that they're rebounding, which they do well. They limit points in the paint, does Washington, as well as second chance points. They're going to need to do that here. I believe Shakira Austin's going to be playing in this game. She was somewhat of a game time decision, but it looks like she's more in the probable zone here. So we should get her. That should help that Mystics defense down low. Don't have a bet on a side or total, but I got to go to an under for Stephanie Dolson because this line is inflated. So 14.5 points and rebounds combined for Dolson, going under that number here. Partly because we got Shakira Austin back. We've also got Brittany Sykes back. We've also got Samuelson in the lineup for the Mystics. All 3 of those players will be in for them in this game. That makes Stephanie Dolson's everything sort of go down, whether it's minutes, shots, all that, right? So you talk about her with Austin in the game. Under in the 6 of 10 of the games that she's played with her, averaging 12.5 points and rebounds, not quite the 15 that she needs in this one. Plus, you've got her with Sykes and Samuelson in, which is going to take away from her 3-point ability. Plus, she's taken away, she's playing against the Seattle team, which does not give up threes above the break. You saw that in this slide a minute ago, where we really like their 3-point defense. Dolson relies too much on the 3-ball, taking more than 2/3 of her shots from above the break threes. She is pretty good as the pick and roll man, but we're not too worried about her getting that type of involvement in the offense with Austin back in there, eating into her rebounds especially. So the 14.5 is too high. I don't really like under on the points or the rebounds alone, but you add them together, we're getting a little bump here at 14.5, so we're going to take it under. Second game, we're looking at Fever in Atlanta, taking on this newly formed Atlanta Dream team that we're very happy to continue backing. As I mentioned when we came back from the break, Atlanta's got all their players back, except for a couple here. We are going to see them without Ariel Powers, without Cheyenne Parker-Titus. That will affect them for sure. But the key here is having Ryan Howard back, making sure Tina Charles is in there. We got some Jordan Canada back in the lineup for the Dream, so we're feeling good about them. Fever don't have any injuries, and that's relevant because Temi Fagbenle has been hurt. She's likely to play in this game. How many minutes, we don't quite know yet. Let's look at these season stats, but I also want to show you Atlanta in the last 4 games. So right now, the way this looks, the Fever are clearly a better team, much better on offense, especially on defense. That would be for the Dream. So what the Dream have done has been play slow, grinded out sort of ball, but they haven't had their players. That's why I really want to show you more than anything what they've done in the last 4. So here's just Atlanta's stats, and you see that on the season, everything not very good. Everything gets better in the last 4 games. And they've beaten some good teams, by the way. We're talking about Phoenix is a nice win. Connecticut was a nice win, as well as the Storm. So beating some pretty good teams. In that time frame, they've had the 5th best offense, the 3rd best defense, and the 4th best rebounding team in the league. Now, they've been good at defense and rebounding for the whole season, especially considering who they've actually been able to get onto the floor with all the injuries they've had. Now you give them all their players back. They've gotten better at the things that they're already good at, and that offensive rating is up to 5th. Reason being, this team is making and taking a lot more threes. They're now in the top 4 in a lot of key categories on offense that they were in the bottom 2 or 3. Points off turnovers, second chance points, fast break points, 3-point shooting, all things they've gotten so much better at in the last 4 games. Really liking them in this matchup versus Fever. So much so that we are taking them plus 2.5. And this has moved in our favor because it went from 1.5 as an opening number to 2.5 here. As there's been some bets on the Fever, who have also been a good team of late. But this Dream team is coming on strong right now. And I feel very, very confident in their ability to keep winning or at least covering even small spreads like 2.5 when they're at home. Down low, they are going to have the advantage. Much better down there. Now, having Temi Fagbenle back will help the Fever for sure. At the same time, not sure how many minutes she's going to play. And like I said, with Tina Charles being really solid right now, and having Ryan Howard back, who has been really good from outside in the perimeter and has been banging down low a little bit more. Really like their ability to get into the lane, get those second chance points, the fast break, all that stuff I mentioned a minute ago. These are things that they should have a big advantage against the Fever. Not very good team in terms of down low defense, down low rebounding. Everything for the Fever is going to be a little bit outmatched by this Dream squad. So we're going to take them to cover the 2.5 in this one. If you do want a little bit better juice, you can get about plus 120 for them to win this game outright at home. One more play from this game. I like NaLyssa Smith, and I think we're getting a bargain on her 8.5 points because I would imagine 2 main things here. Last 2 games for her, she's only taken 4 shots a game. She has been in a little bit of foul trouble, about 3 fouls in each of those games. So that did limit her minutes a little bit, but it was mostly the shots that were down. She was still up at around 20 minutes, especially because Fagbenle wasn't in there. Once again, I think that's one reason we're getting a good number here for NaLyssa on the points. We're also getting that number because of Fagbenle being back, but I'm not concerned with that because I don't think she's going to get her normal minutes in her first game back from being injured for most of this season. When you look at Smith, if she does get the 20 to 25 minutes that she's been averaging on the season without Fagbenle or with her, we're talking about 11 points per game, 72% hit rate on this number of 8.5 points. So I think it's gone down too low just because she had a couple games in a row that weren't good. Plus Fagbenle being back actually gives us the favor to zag when everybody seems to be zigging, especially because this Dream team, as good as they are down low in most areas, not as good limiting stuff inside 5 feet. Players like NaLyssa Smith, who spend a lot of their time either catching a spot up from about mid-range or trying to post up down low, get some putbacks in there. She should be pretty good in this matchup. So really like her, the way that she's not going to be guarded by Tina Charles as well. That's a huge part of all of this, is that Tina Charles going to probably be on Aaliyah Boston a lot more. That should free up NaLyssa to get those 9 points, especially with the way she's been getting to the free throw line. Third game here on Monday, we've got a pretty interesting matchup. Liberty in Phoenix taking on the Mercury. We know what the Liberty are. Basically the best team in the league. I have had a little bit of trouble in the last few games, I will say. Tough loss to Connecticut that we kind of expected them to come out a lot stronger in. But Sabrina now, another game under her belt, back from injury, so we feel a lot better about her being in there. As far as the Mercury, you know they're going to play pretty fast. They slowed down in the last week or two of play, but earlier in the season, playing a lot faster. most importantly, offense good, defense bad, rebounding surprisingly horrible for this squad. So they've really relied on jump shooting and making threes to really make sure that they stay in games and win them for the Merc. Liberty offense, big advantage against this Mercury squad here. Mostly the fast break and the three-point stuff. You can see best team in the league in threes is the Liberty, second best in fast break, always trying to get out points off of turnovers or at least get it and go off of a make, all that kind of stuff. So they are getting a lot of shots up because of that. For the Merc, not good enough on defense. They don't get back enough, about middle of the pack, and then basically the worst three-point defense in the league. Not a good look when you're going up against the best three-point team shooting-wise. Other side of the ball, Liberty match up much better in the things against the things that the Mercury want to do. Talking about threes, talking about free throws. And that is two things that the Liberty limit to a very good degree. It's why they've seen their defensive rating jump all the way up to second best in the league, where it's been fourth, fifth, sixth in that range for most of the time. They've really picked it up in the last 2 to 3 weeks of play for this squad here. And that's why they're where they are right now, right? It's limiting the threes and not giving anything up, down, low too easy, not giving up free throws, etc. Big advantage for the Liberty there. So unsurprisingly, final bet of the day, we're taking the Liberty to cover the 5.5. Would love this number at 4.5. That 5 is so key of a number for us, but still fine with it at 5.5 because I love the way that they're playing. And I kind of like this bounce back opportunity after a tough loss to Connecticut. Still on the road for the Liberty, but they've done a really good job covering when they're on the road, much better than they have when they're at home. So I still really like them. Like I said, it was disappointing that they didn't really come out and beat the Sun, who were on the second leg of a back-to-back, but they beat the crap out of the Sun all season. The Sun had a little bit more sort of revenge and motivation to go ahead and beat this Liberty squad. So not too worried about them. Still feel really good about them as basically the best team in the league, at least 1 or 2. So we're going to take them to cover the 5.5 against what I perceive to be a little bit of an overrated Mercury squad. That is all the time I have for you in this one. As mentioned, jump into the comments. Let me know who your best bet of the day is. If we go 4-0 in this on this slate, go ahead and shell out the $50 to a random commenter. So make sure you get in on that action. Check out the Discord so you make sure you get the numbers that I'm playing. As I mentioned, link is in the description of the video. Until I see y'all next, happy betting.